Welcome to the No Mind MMA Picks podcast. Today we're going to be having a look at UFC 267, which happened this past weekend. An amazing card, incredible pay-per-view. What a time to be a fight fan. Two of the most stacked events happening 7 days from each other. There were some amazing performances, amazing breakout performances. It's a really exciting time for MMA. Younger generations of fans coming through. And it's just growing, man. It's really nice to see. Even lots of my friends who I never thought would enjoy watching fighting now tune in every week. So it's really nice to see, man. It's really nice to see that power of martial arts, that excitement of competition just grow. All right, I want to have a look at Larone Murphy first. He really impressed me. He had a tough first round against a game Amir Khani who managed to get a takedown really early without sweat and was able to control subsequently then for the next 5 minutes. Murphy never looked panicked. He never rushed. He never overextended himself, never gave the back trying to get up. He just stayed calm, accepted the position, then came out in round 2 with a fresh perspective. Which was nice, man, because 14 seconds into round 2, he lands that fake switch knee. It was beautiful. One of my favorite combinations to throw. Fake the straight, switch stance into the knee. And Amir Khani just fell for the bait, man. It was perfect. It landed beautifully. The follow-up 2 shots were unnecessary, but you can't blame him, man. He was out quick. So yeah, Larone Murphy, he's a really exciting prospect, stays undefeated. And I think it's time to give him someone in the top 15 now. He's had a really nice start to his UFC career. He actually debuted against Zubaira Tukhugov and had a draw. Has a win over Ricardo Ramos, Douglas Silva de Andrade, and now Amir Khani. So he's fighting really good competition, man. Yeah, and I'd like to see him fight someone in the top 10 to 15 now. What about the refereeing in Santos versus St. Denis? Oh my God. I almost feel bad for the poor guy. Like, I haven't seen him ref before. Getting your opportunity on a big pay-per-view and then the whole MMA community just turning against you, man. Like, oh my God, it was rough. St. Denis, especially as a debuting fighter, never wants to be in that position of showing the world how tough he is. That debut fight in the UFC is to give everyone an idea about how well you're going to compete. It's to showcase some skills, not showcase your toughness and chin. So I'd really like to see St. Denis rest up and come back against another fighter. I'd really like to see him come back and see where he can go. Because he looked good, man, and he's so tough. Magomed Ankalaev. Wow, I have no idea who's going to beat this guy at light heavyweight. His ability to control the pace of the fight, his presence in the octagon, it's unmatched. It really is. It reminds me of John Jones almost. Everyone's following him. He is implementing his game while the other person tries to figure out what's happening. And you could see it with Ozdemir. He was frozen after eating a few of those counters, tasting the power, tasting the speed. He wasn't committing. He was happy to lose the next 2 rounds and just get through it. And I don't blame him, man, because when you start putting yourself in the line of fire against someone who can counter as well as Ankalaev, it's usually going to be a short night. As we saw with Iwan Kutalaba. The countering ability of Ankalaev is crazy. His ability with that check hook going backwards to find the range, and his speed for a light heavyweight is unmatched. This fight really got me excited for Ankalaev's future. The Krylov fight and the Kutalaba fight were good, were exciting to see where he would go next. But the fight against Ozdemir really cemented his ability to compete with everyone in the top 5. I feel a bit bad for Ozdemir as well. That's 2 losses in a row now. And he definitely wouldn't be happy with that performance, looking back on it. I kind of feel like we're seeing his ceiling in the UFC now, as opposed to Ankalaev, it was a bit more of the passing of the guard. He's coming up. He's that prospect. Wow, let's move on to Khamzat Chimaev versus Li Jingliang. Incredible. 4 fights in the UFC, and he's been taken 2 punches. The domination continues. For me, this was a real proving fight. Li Jingliang's been in the UFC for a long time. He's had some really good wins in the UFC, fought tough competition, and Chimaev ran through him like he didn't even deserve to be in there with him. The complete domination, you have to respect. You just have to sit back and respect and be excited to see where going to go, because now you have to give him someone in the top 10. He's a real problem for anyone in that division, man. Especially only after 4 fights in the UFC, 4 finishes. It's a really exciting time. I've never seen anyone like this come into the UFC. It reminds me of Conor McGregor a bit in terms of the hype, the star power, but McGregor wasn't dominating people like this. What really impressed me about Khamzat is the smart game plan he followed and the ability to execute it. He came in within the first 5 seconds, high fake jab, pulled out the overhand of Lee, and then went straight underneath, straight to the double leg. And once he's deep on the double leg, there was nothing Lee could do. There was nothing he could do at all. He picks him up, walks him over to Dana, starts talking, and then just goes to work. Khamzat Chimaev is, he's the real deal, man. I really like to see the respect between them, though, after the fight. Because Lee, you can tell Lee felt that. He felt, all right, this guy's something special. And it looked like Lee he'd been humbled to the sense that the hype is real. And so had I, man. I didn't know how this fight was going to go for Khamzat. I definitely didn't think it would be met with like as little resistance as it was. Yeah, really interesting fight. I'd like to see Khamzat versus another wrestler, another grappler next fight. Maybe Neil Magny, maybe Michael Chiesa. Someone who's going to be able to put a little bit of resistance for Chimaev to work through. All right, let's have a look at Alexander Volkov and Marcin Tybura. I was really impressed with the improved takedown defense of Volkov. You heard DC talking about it on the commentary. But yeah, he just never let Tybura get going, really. He never let the takedown get going. He was really good up against the fence with his underhooks, creating the distance, finding his underhooks, creating space, and even short. He was looking for short elbows, short hooks, short uppercuts. Tybura impressed me with his ability to continue to come forward. He just couldn't get into a rhythm. It seemed like he couldn't get into a rhythm where he was offsetting Volkov ever. Volkov always looked like he was in control, looked like he was the one offering the attack and with the bigger moments in the fight. The gas tank started to fade halfway through the second round. There was a lot of grappling, and you can't blame them. Especially with Volkov putting on all that size and weight and defending all those takedowns, no wonder he was tired. I'd like to see where Alexander Volkov can go from here. It was a performance that didn't necessarily show us anything that's going to change the perspective of how his future at the title is going to look. Because yes, the takedown defense was very improved, but I don't think he's going to be able to stop Curtis Blades, and I definitely don't see him be able to strike with Ngannou. So that was one of those fights where it was really cool to see Volkov's improvements, but it didn't necessarily make me excited about where either of these fighters are going after this. All right, the other breakout star of the night, Islam Makhachev versus my boy Dan Hooker. This one was tough to watch. It was a pretty much flawless performance by Makhachev. I think he's going to be the next lightweight star, that next dominant lightweight star. Khabib's really molding him to follow after his footsteps. And you can see with the domination in the grappling, he's miles ahead of anyone in that division, grappling-wise. There's no one who's going to be able to stop the grappling. The only person I can see competing with him on the ground, making life difficult for him on the ground, is Charles Oliveira. I think what Charles can do off his back would be interesting to Makhachev. The way Makhachev fights, so smart. His ability to always be intelligent, never let the ego. He never fights with the ego. He ate a stiff jab off Dan Hooker, and it looked like to me, that was like the go switch. Okay, right hook, double leg takedown, secured, and then he went to work. It's almost like he needed to eat that jab off Dan Hooker to cement to himself to follow the game plan. And once the game plan was followed, it was complete domination. Islam Makhachev's strength on the ground. Dan Hooker knew that Kimura was coming for like 20 seconds and he couldn't do anything about it. It just showed you the level of the grappling between the two, and Hooker really didn't even look like he deserved to be in there, which is so crazy to say after Hooker's last few years at the top of this division. So yeah, I'd like to see Islam fight the winner of Gaethje and Chandler next week, or I'd even like to see him wait and fight the winner of Oliveira Poirier, because it's going to be really interesting to have some new blood in this division. And I really have a feeling he's going to be able to dominate this division, similar to how Khabib did, and to even higher levels. Yeah, I'm really excited to see Islam's future in the UFC. With Dan, it was just frustrating to see, man. Like, knowing his story, how much of a gangster he is, how well he's loved by the community. Yeah, it was a rough one to see. But he'll be back, and I want to see Dan in some more fun fights against some strikers, because that's where he really thrives. That's where he's the most fun to watch, when he's implementing that long-range striking. And he has someone who's willing to go there with him. All right, Peter Yan and Corey Sandhagen. This was my favourite fight on the card. A chess match at the highest of levels. It was really clean fundamentals versus unorthodox movement and striking. Corey Sandhagen, so fluid in his movement, so fluid in the way he glides around, switches stances. Yan could never corner him, could never keep him in the one position. In the first round, Yan was really trying to establish a slow rhythm and just really trying to make reads on Sandhagen, trying to figure out the movement pattern a bit. So I gave the first round to Corey Sandhagen. After that, though, however, it was vintage Peter Yan. The rhythm picked up. He used the leg kicks really nicely to start to slow down the movement of Sandhagen. He started to get a beat on the way Sandhagen was moving. You just saw it by the head kick he landed in the 5th round. I feel like if those two fight again, Yan would find more ways to dominate that fight. I just felt like it took Yan 3 or 4 rounds to really figure out Corey Sandhagen. And no wonder, man, Corey Sandhagen's an incredible fighter. So unique, and I really feel like he's got a big ceiling in the UFC too. He's just stuck in a division where full of killers. What really impresses me about Peter Yan is his MMA striking defense. I was watching with my girlfriend, and she was even pointing out the way Peter Yan is so safe when there's punches coming at him. He's safe in the pocket. His defense, his hands are always where they need to be for MMA, which is amazing. Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling next, it should be. And that's a really interesting fight too. I'd also love to see Peter Yan versus TJ Dillashaw. But man, if I'm being honest, I don't really think there's anyone in this division who's going to be able to really compete with Peter Yan. I thought that guy was Sandhagen, and it was an amazing fight. It was back and forth, but the whole time you felt like Peter Yan was in control. The whole time you felt like he was landing the bigger shots. He was walking Corey down. He scored the knockdown. And even Corey said it at the end. I didn't feel like I did enough to win that fight. One of the best fights I've seen in a long time. Just for the intricacies, watching the setups, watching Peter Yan try and figure out the puzzle that is Corey Sandhagen. Watch him figure out that puzzle was really cool to see. Really, really cool to see. I think Peter Yan is going to be the bantamweight champion for a while. I think he's going to really show his dominance over the next few years in this division. All right, let's have a look at the main event. Wow, good on Glover Teixeira winning the belt at 42 years old. I heavily favoured Yan going into this fight, and he just looked a bit off, man. Like the form of his punches didn't look right. The way he was exchanging, the way he was always backing up didn't look right, and it just didn't look. His confidence in the octagon didn't look there. Glover Teixeira went there to win, and Teddy Atlas said something amazing. It was never underestimate a man's last chance. That stuck with me. And another reason I love MMA so much is being able to see these warriors put in so much effort, so much energy, so much passion to their life's work, to this game. And seeing that be rewarded is really special, especially after the ups and downs Glover's gone through. It was really cool to see him win the belt. Yan will be back. I doubt they'll do a rematch. I imagine it'll be Glover and Yuri, which is an interesting fight too. Yeah, Yan he didn't look as comfortable in there as he usually does. He wasn't as confident in his power, and he was saying that post-fight press conference he left the Polish power at the hotel room. And sometimes it happens, man. Sometimes you just have an off night, and it really looked like that with Yan tonight. I really enjoyed the fight still though. Even though Glover kind of ran through him pretty quickly, he still ate some punches, he still ate some jabs. But it was Glover's ability to pressure and be able to get yarn against the fence that ultimately won him that fight. So Glover TEIXEIRA is your light heavyweight champion in 2021, which is crazy to say. Just the way that this division's shaped itself over the last few years has been really interesting. And the way it's going to continue to shape itself over the next few years with people like Ankalaev, people like Yuri Prochazka, I think it's going to be a really exciting time for this division. And I'm just glad Glover got in before these monsters come through and make their name heard. Amazing card. I really enjoyed this fight night, this pay-per-view, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait till next weekend for the Madison Square Garden card. I'll be providing a breakdown of that for you guys, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. I hope everyone enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.